Hello everyone, Jerry Tabatt with you. Another edition of our military community. Got a great interview lined up for today. You know, as we go through life, we see law enforcement have dogs with them all the time. We say, what do those dogs do? How are they trained? What can I do or not do around them? Well, today we got a special interview with Senior Airman William Thompson out of the Tyndall Air Force Base, U.S. Air Force Security Forces, and his dog, Fany. Well, thanks for coming in today. I appreciate it. And Fany, what a beautiful animal she is and everything. Well behaved. What I want to do first of all is tell the viewers a little bit about yourself so we get to know you a little better.
So I'm, like you said, Senior Airman Thompson, 25, been in the Air Force for about 5 years now. I'm here at Tyndall, my third duty station. Luckily, I was able to get into the whole canine program and start working with these dogs. But my first duty station, was Osan Air Base out in Korea. Second duty station was at McConnell Air Force Base in Kansas, and then was lucky enough to recently get transferred over here.
So you've been around a little bit and enjoying that and everything, and I see Fany's spoiled. I can see that already. But actually, before we get into talking about some of the things your dogs do for you, what is the actual mission out there at Tyndall of the security forces?
So for security forces, our main priority is, protecting the base, defending the base, making sure that every other unit and squadron is able to do their job effectively without the worry of any possible threats or anything that could possibly hinder them what they're doing. Luckily with the Air Force and just how things work in a base, everything kind of threads together. And us being able to do what we do, make sure that they can do what they can do so that we as a whole can further our mission when it comes to Tyndall Air Force Base.
And one thing that, if you would reiterate that too, is when people are on that base, you have full authority, just like any law enforcement agency would off in the cities or the county or anything.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's really just about whether or not you're doing right or wrong. If somebody's in the wrong, it doesn't matter who you are at rank. It's on us to be able to make sure that it gets corrected, make sure that it gets taken care of the correct way.
And you can ticket people if they need it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, simple stuff is just running a stop sign or just not following the directions of the law or of the rules of the streets, that kind of stuff. So,
now, one of the things we're all used to seeing the officers at the gate and that, and even downtown we see the officers, but we don't get to see a lot of people with security animals. You got a security dog there. How did you become a member of the Air Force to get a security dog?
So the way it works for security forces to get into K9, you have to meet two requirements, one of them being a time in service. So for us, it's 2 years time in service, and then also once you reach a certain skill level. Once you've reached those things, you go to whatever kennels you have at whatever base you're at, do a bunch of volunteer work with them, coming in on either if you're lucky enough to be able to do it during your work time, or come in on your off time and kind of sacrifice your own free time. But it comes down to pretty much you're doing a lot of decoy work, bite work with them, watching some of the stuff they do, learning, listening to the trainers, the kennel master and the other handlers who have been doing it for obviously longer than I have, and kind of taking all that knowledge in.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize the training that you have to go through. First of all, we're going to talk about that, but how did you get paired up with Fany?
So when I PCS'd here, this is just the dog that was open for me. The last handler moved up in positions, so he's not working her anymore, obviously, so I ended up picking her up. So we've been working together for a little bit, just kind of learning each other, learning her quirks, she's learning my quirks, and how we work together, and going from there.
And just like anything else, there's training involved with Fany and you together. Tell us about some of the routines that you have to go through and the length of the training, how stressful is it in that, so we get to understand what Fany really goes through along with you.
Yep, 100%. Every day we work together, we're always training, whether we're working shift or we're just in it's just a training day. Usually I start out my day after we feed her and she kind of gets that food to settle down in her. We go out to the obedience yard, work on just basic obedience commands and that kind of stuff, going through the obstacle course and just kind of getting her ready for the day. Once we get from there, go through the day with whatever's planned, whether we do some patrol work, some detection work, and just anything we can do to constantly further ourselves as a team. to make sure that we work better together, not only for us, but also for the section.
Now, is she trained multitask, like, say, munitions, explosives, search and rescue, tracking,
So yeah,
patrol, stuff like that? What are some of the different things that she actually does now?
so she's dual purpose. So she will do the patrol work, so all the bite work stuff, and then also in detection. But those are the only two. We don't do tracking, we don't do search and rescue, all that kind of stuff. So it's just the two, patrol and detection.
What's a normal shift for you when you're out on patrol with Fany?
So if I'm out on patrol with her, usually start of the day, knocking out any type of utilization, going through different buildings, making sure that that building is safe, that there's nothing in there, driving around, making sure that everybody's following the laws, doing little patrols, doing little walks, and kind of just showing our presence, letting that be kind of a psychological deterrence, making sure that like I said, when people see the dogs, it makes people want to act a little bit better, make sure they're not doing anything wrong. So kind of showing our presence out there, showing our force is usually a big part of that.
Now, when you're out on patrol with Fany, how does she react to, like, seeing animals or things like that? Does she train well enough that, like, if another dog is around, she's not going to bother or anything like that?
Absolutely. So luckily, she's pretty well trained when it comes to other animals. Of course, they catch her attention, and she's definitely watching them the entire time. But she sticks typically pretty well to my side. Doesn't try to break and go towards them or go after them or anything. So she's pretty relatively calm when she sees other animals.
One of the things that's kind of difficult, I know it doesn't make any difference, young or old, people love pets. Mm-hmm. And they'll see you out with Fany and they'll want to come running up to her and pet her or something like that. What 100%. Are the do's and don'ts or something like that? Because that's very, very important.
Yep, so absolutely. We have a pretty strict do not pet rule when it comes to the dogs, not only just because they're primarily working dogs, but also just safety. We don't want her to possibly see somebody running up to come do something simple as pet the dog, for her to possibly see it as a threat and then for her to react. She is trained that anything that she perceives as a threat, she will protect me and protect herself. So we keep it pretty strict. No one's allowed to pet her aside from the handler, and then just the people who work with her, just normal interactions. But we still keep her pretty well trained in being acclimated to people around her and being in busy areas, so that going through those busy areas, she won't feel the need to have to protect herself. But yeah, we try to keep it pretty straightforward about not petting them and that kind of jazz.
Now, one of the big things you have out there at the base, of course, is you got these aircraft taking off, mm-hmm. and they make a lot of noise. How are they trained noise-wise and things like that? Because a lot of them, dogs are scared of thunder.
100%. Yep. So it's a gradual training we do with them. When those planes are taking off, or we just get them by anything that has a lot of loud noise, we'll slowly work them up to that. So maybe we'll start a little bit farther away and have them doing basic commands like sit, down, that kind of fun stuff. Or and once they kind of get better with the noise, just in general, then we start moving them a little bit closer and doing the same commands. And it's just progressive from there until we can get to a point where they can't exactly hear us perfectly, but with hand commands and stuff like that, hand motions, they'll still, despite the noise, be able to listen to our commands and do everything that we tell them to do.
Now, when you're out, of course, on patrol, you can't have that animal in the vehicle with you 24/7. You've got to give the dog some breaks. What kind of breaks do they need to keep them up to their alert level that they need to be at, and to keep the team working out real good together?
So that comes into like some of our walking patrols and building checks. When we go into a building check, I'll bring her with me. She'll kind of do her thing as we're walking through, so it gets her out of the car, gets her legs stretched. Walking patrols, maybe we'll go down a trail or go around base housing, something of the sort to get her moving and get her out there. And then if all of my things are kind of done for the day and maybe I'm not doing another building check, I'll take her out to a field and we'll just go out there and just do some obedience stuff and have her play around. Because yes, they are working dogs, but at the same time they are dogs as well.
Right.
So kind of getting that fun into them makes them enjoy their time with us.
Which is leading me right into my next question, is what kind of bond do you have? I can see the way you're acting together now, but what is that bond that you two have together, and how did you get it established and everything? And I imagine the trust, it takes a while to develop that too.
So there's definitely a rapport training that comes into it when you first pick up a new dog. When it came to Fany, it was just as basic as every day coming in, taking her out to the OB yard. not exactly always giving her commands, but sometimes just going out there and letting her be a free dog, going out and just kind of playing with her and building that bond between us and that trust that, I'm her new partner. For me, having a dog as my partner, the dog's not going to betray you. The dog's not going to do anything behind your back or anything like that.
Right.
The dog is always going to have your back, always be there to protect you.
Yeah.
So that kind of bond to me is very special when it comes to working with canines in general.
Now, she doesn't stay with you 24/7, does she?
Nope.
See, that's one of the differences between the military that I wanted to point out and the civilian community law enforcement. Is civilians, they keep that dog with them 24/7.
Yep.
It's like a family dog, but you have to put her in the kennel when you're not working with her, huh?
100%, yeah. It is unfortunate at times, but it's just the way it works. When I'm working, she's with me all day. If I'm training and doing that kind of stuff, she's with me all day. And then when the day's over, we give her dinner, make sure she's got enough water, make sure everything's good to go, put her in a kennel for the night, and then head home for the night. And then next thing you know, as soon as the lights are on, I'm back there and we're back together. Yeah.
See, there you go again, huh? Now, besides yourself, do other members of the security forces that are in the area that have the dogs too, or awaiting dogs, do they have access? Can they take Fany out, or are you the one strictly assigned with Fany?
So I am the one strictly assigned with Fany. The other members of security forces who aren't exactly canine handlers, they don't have access to her as much as like my section does. So if I was to take leave, if I had to take a trip or go anywhere, the other handlers or the trainer or the kennel master, they would all come together to be able to take care of her while I was gone. But other than that, obviously everybody in the section, they can take care of her at any point. They always have access to her just as much as I do. I just have a little bit more access because I'm the one that holds the leash.
Now, you're going to be here for a while, but when you
Correct.
do get orders to go, will Fany go with you?
Unfortunately not. The way the Air Force works is once a dog is assigned to a duty station, that is a duty station that they stay at. So when the day comes that I do leave this place, that I do leave Tyndall, she will stay here and I will move on.
One of the big things here in Florida that we are always conscious about, even with our family pets, is you're out there working in the middle of summer when it's 95, heat index 113. What kind of extra precautions do you need to take? Because you can't have her out there all the time.
Yeah, so in every one of our vehicles, we have pretty much like a heat index card that pretty much says what our work rest cycle should be for the dogs. Having them walking out on concrete, concrete is always going to be a little bit hotter than it is outside. So making sure that their paws are protected, whether we put little booties on their feet for them, but making sure that their temperature doesn't rise too much, and just knowing the facts and knowing these visual symptoms of heat injuries.
What do you specifically feel that Fany's the best at right now?
Right now? Probably just obedience. We're working on detection, trying to get some of her quirks and working that kind of stuff. She's really good at the detection side of things as well. But I also just love doing the obedience because I think it builds a better rapport between us. Just even as more time goes on, I think there's no limit to the amount of rapport you can have with the dog. So
Yeah.
I personally enjoy doing the obedience side with her.
Now that you two are working together like that, let's say, for example, you're going to go check this building over here to make sure it's all safe and sound. You may not have been in it. Fany may not been in it. What do you go through in there, and how does she react to the other people that may be in there working and just doing their job?
So she's pretty acclimated to other people just kind of walking around and doing their thing. She pokes her head into certain offices, kind of sees what's going on, and then just kind of keeps walking, making sure as we go through, we're double checking, making sure things are good. But she doesn't really have any issues of trying to go to other people and jump on them or getting frightened by other people walking around. Luckily, just in the process with her, as she's been at Tyndall, she's gotten pretty acclimated to just having more and more people around as she's working herself.
How old is she?
She's about 5 years old.
And a lot of people I thought mistakenly took her too as a full-blooded German Shepherd. She's not a German Shepherd.
Nope, she's a full-bred Belgian Mal. So the Air Force, or really the DoD as a whole, use typically about 3 different breeds: German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, and then Dutch Shepherds. Just kind of goes in between those 3. So we have a decent mix at Tyndall Air Force Base right now.
So she's like your companion, your buddy, your friend, and everything. But
100%.
one of the things that you really do at Tyndall, a lot of people don't realize, is you do work very, very closely with local law enforcement. What are some of the things that you are doing with local law enforcement to help them out?
So it really comes down to whenever they request our help. Obviously, local law enforcement, they have so many people that can do it on their own. But every once in a while, they might need an extra assist, especially in the canine side of things. So when that call comes, that we just get all the information, make sure that we're all good to go, and then we'll go to wherever they need us and help them out, whether it's for detection or just making sure, maybe if they're chasing somebody and they're coming towards our base, making sure that we're posted up, making sure they can't get any further, to get them to be able to stop and have the local law enforcement take care of what they were going after them for.
And that's the important relationship. And you just brought up something else too that a lot of people do not understand. A lot of people don't realize that if someone is off base and they're being chased by local law enforcement and they come across and hit that base property, you got full authority to join in that chase, and you have the full authorization, right?
100%, yeah. And usually what's nice is local law enforcement, they tend to, if they're going in that direction and I know that's a possibility, they'll go ahead and give us a heads up so that we can be prepared before they even get there, to make it a lot more smooth and a lot more of a simple process.
And the other, vice versa, because I remember when I was stationed out at Tyndall, the security forces tried to stop this gentleman, and he said, "I'm not stopping." He went across the bridge and went up 15th Street and everything and hit a building up there.
Yep.
You guys had the authorization to follow him. A lot of people don't realize that if you initiate the chase, you could probably be out there with him too, but you have to work with law enforcement.
Yes, so it all just depends on what our authorizations are through our leadership. But there are opportunities that sometimes we might go further, just to follow them and make sure that we have a good description of the vehicle to pass it on to local law enforcement.
Because there may be different charges pending from what they did on the base compared to what they did off base, so you're going to have federal, state, county, all
Correct,
that together.
yep.
So that's the coordination on that. The community, how do they react to seeing you with the animal?
Usually it's pretty well, from what I've experienced. Everybody loves dogs, you know.
Yeah.
So seeing us working with dogs, you know, everyone tends to peek their head over, look over, see what's going on. So yeah, usually it's pretty well. Haven't really had any bad experiences so far.
Yeah. And how important is it to have these animals with the security forces? Because there's a lot of times you got a crawl space this big that you can't get in there, but the animal can.
100%. No, it's definitely a huge advantage to have them with us. You know, they can do things that we can't. You know, their noses are 10 times better than ours. Their eyes are better than ours. Their ears are better than ours. So they can use those things to assist us and maybe finding somebody or finding something that somebody might have hidden in a building or in a field. So yeah, it's a huge advantage having them with us that I think a lot of people don't exactly realize, especially people who are running away. And
another thing too is education with these animals. How much do you do education-wise, and especially with kids, like field trips or something like that? How do you, let's say that I've got a bunch of kids that I want to see how Fany works and how she works with you in the demonstration. How would I set something up like that, and what can you and cannot do?
Yeah, so usually we have some type of coordinator on base that you can get in contact with that, say if a school or an ROTC program wanted to come check out the kennels or maybe even just check out the base, usually the kennels is one of the stops on there as well. What they'll do is they'll coordinate with that individual, and then as they're going through, they'll make the stop at the kennels, and then we'll give them a tour of the kennels. Usually my kennel master, my trainer, will end up handling the tour portion of things, and then once they're done with the tour, we'll go out to the obedience yard, and we have a huge bleacher set up in front of our obedience yard that they can all sit down, get out of the sun, and watch us do a demonstration of their patrol work and their capabilities. And usually kids react very well to it. They love it, think it's all fun and games, which sometimes it is, but yeah, they absolutely love being able to see us get bit by these dogs and run away from these dogs, even though, you know, none of us are fast enough to get away. Not all the time, but it's worth it. It's a lot of fun.
Now, what her reaction, like, I would imagine it's different from a group of adults to a group of kids. Does she react differently, and can she sense that these that are this big, you know, may not be as well adapted to having animals around?
I think every dog honestly can. I think every dog has the capability to kind of sense maybe either the fear, the excitement, the joy that's kind of around them, and that kind of causes them to react differently. So I think it's a lot easier with kids because, like we said, they see it, they're having fun watching this kind of stuff. Adults are a little bit more like, maybe I don't ever want to run away from the dog. Whereas a kid is like, I want to run away from this dog because they're just going to chase me.
Right.
So yeah, they definitely can sense that to an extent.
And I would imagine if someone starts to run, it immediately starts to trigger her. Like, wait a minute, she's waiting for you to say something.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, but it also depends on the demeanor of the person who's running. Like if the person who's running is kind of laughing and all this, more than likely she's going to be having a good time. But if it's an actual situation, she can sense my demeanor. She can sense what's going on with the person, and then that's how she'll react and kind of have an idea of, okay, what's going on.
Let's say that you're out on patrol or something, and you have an accident, you slip and fall and hurt yourself. That dog is not going to leave you. But how is there some way that dog is able to alert someone else to get some help for you when you're incapacitated?
So if I'm working on shift, she can't use the radio or anything. But
Right.
say something was to happen to me, whether it was during a response. If it's during a response, hopefully I will always have backup with me, in some sense, to where if something does happen to me, somebody is there to help me and to be able to get my dog back into the kennel. If I'm by myself, hopefully it's nothing bad enough to where I can't get to my own radio myself. But we always have a way to be able to contact somebody, to be able to let them know, hey, something's happened, I need help, like, can you come here, and this is my location, and they'll send a couple patrols out to come assist.
And if you are unable to talk on the radio or anything like that, and someone comes up to help you, will she understand that, or will she still try to protect you from that other individual coming up to you?
She might be cautious, but as long as that person is coming up calmly and not being all frantic, then she should generally be just okay.
What of all the different things that you go through with Fany, what's probably the most rewarding thing for you to have that animal by your side?
I think it's just being able to watch her work, being able to show, the rewards and the benefits of all the work we've put in together. There's always little quirks and little things that we have to work on day by day, and kind of seeing those things come into fruition not only makes me proud of her, but also makes me proud of us as a team, that we're furthering ourselves, and for the one day possibility that I have to pass her on to somebody else, making sure that she is set up to help that person out, and they can be just as good as a team, and hopefully better than I am with her.
Yeah. Can she pick up with you your different mood swings? I mean, sometimes you may be all happy and jolly, other times you may have something bothering you, or you got this one you're going to check out this one. Can she tell the difference in your demeanor too?
100%. We have a saying that our emotions travel down leash to our dog. So if maybe I came into work and it's just not really a good day, I'm not really feeling it. Sometimes she might be a little bit lackadaisical, just like, okay, maybe we're just gonna be a slow morning.
Right.
Or sometimes she's like, no, I'm gonna make you happy. Like, let's have fun. And she'll try and jump. She'll do what she can to try and play with me, to kind of bring my demeanor back up, my mood back up, and then we can continue on with our day, just rocking.
She likes to play too, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. All dogs like to play when it comes down to it.
I gotta ask this. What's her favorite treat?
Treat? So we don't typically give them treats.
Oh, come on now. Yeah.
So her favorite, I'll say her favorite toy is the one I have in my pocket. It's just a basic pink Kong, a little bit softer. She likes the softer toys. Anytime I bring it out, her eyes are right on it. She will not look anywhere else. And once I give her that toy, then it's just playtime. She's pulling at the rope, I'm pulling back, she'll start growling, just having a good time, and just building that relationship even more with us.
So do you use that as a reward, like when you're in training and she actually does something exactly the way she's supposed to do it, do you actually use that as her reward?
Yep, pink Kong.
And
Either
she
pink or blue
understands
one. Yep. She's very, very Kong driven, so whatever she can do to make work go easy and know that she's doing the right thing, 100% she's like, cool, I did this. As soon as Dad tells me, I get that Kong. And it's just kind of a constant reward schedule with her.
We got about 5 minutes to go, and I can't let you go, or can't wrap this up without a demonstration. I understand that you can't do search and rescue or anything like that, but what are some of the things you can demonstrate for Fany right now?
I mean, just basic like obedience stuff. We can do this real quick. Fany, sit. And she'll do it. Sit. There we go. Down. And from there, it's just, like I said, it's just the basic stuff that we do, like this. Yes. 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 And just we're out here having fun, no big deal. It's a little bit more of a calmer setting right now, so sit. Yes, good girls. But yeah, this is, like I said, this is pretty much our morning routine, just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Playing around, having a good time, making sure that she's doing her commands like she should. Obviously sometimes, I don't know about you, but I wake up in the mornings, I sometimes forget things.
Oh, yeah.
So for her, it's kind of the same thing. Maybe she needs a couple minutes to kind of restart her brain, restart things, and kind of get back to the way she's supposed to be. So it's always just a little process.
Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but I know Fany does. Just the short time I've been around her now. She actually has emotions too, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things she'll do that you could tell that there's something that she wants or she needs or there's something bothering her?
She'll whine, she'll bark. Usually if she's not feeling too great, you would hear like deep sighs, huff and puff, maybe a little bit of a whine. But when she's happy, and I'm playing with her with a toy, she's growling with, like, not growling at me, but like,
right.
Just having that good time, showing a little bit of aggression, just like a fun aggression, showing that she's having a good time. So usually when I'm playing with her, the Kong, if I can get a little growl out of her while she's got the Kong in her mouth, I know that we're having fun and I know that it's everything that we're doing is beneficial.
You love that animal, don't you?
100%. 100%.
Unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes here, William, to give me your final thoughts about what you're doing about Fany and all those different things. A couple of minutes.
100%. So, I mean, like I said earlier, everything we do to better ourselves and better ourselves as a team, making sure that not only can we do good for our section, but we can also do good for our unit, making sure that our base is set up the way it needs to, and that they can run everything perfectly without the worry of any possible threats or dangers. All that we can hope for is that whenever we have to respond to a situation is that the people who we're responding to will listen to us completely and respect our law enforcement authority to make sure that all we want to do is de-escalate things and make sure everything's all right. That is our first concern, is safety and making sure that everybody is okay. And then we will continue on from there. But yeah, so that's really all I've got.
Yeah, and don't be afraid of a law enforcement officer, be it military or civilian, of the working dog.
100%. They're so well trained just throughout the years with the first couple years of their initial training, and then coming to us, and we just continue further their training. They're not going to do anything that we don't tell them to do, or that they're not trained to do. So there is no huge concern when it comes to safety. So as long as you're listening right and you're not doing anything that you're not supposed to, there's nothing to be worried about when it comes to being around these dogs.
All right, we could spend another hour talking about that, but if she don't bite me, I'm going to reach over and shake your hand. But William, thank you for coming in today. 100%. I appreciate it, and bringing Fany in.
Absolutely.
We learned a lot today about the military aspect, and if you look at it, it's really not much different between military and civilian. You all do the same thing, and they're basically trained the same thing. All right, William, thank you for coming in today, and thanks to the Air Force for letting us talk with you and see what Fany really does. Unfortunately, this is it for another edition of our military community. Again, don't be afraid of these animals. They're there to help you, and they're not going to hurt you. Their trainer has full command of what's going on with them, and they won't react unless you decide to do something stupid and go up and try to cause some problems. So remember, they're there to help you. They're your friend too, and they will do a lot of things for you that you don't even realize. Take the time to talk to somebody. Don't run up and talk to them, to the gentleman by yourself or the ladies, but ask them if you can come up and talk with them. That way the dog knows that when you're approaching them and not going to happen any problems at all. So again, Security Forces at Tyndall, thank you so much. Air Force, I'm proud to say I was a member for 20 years, and it's good to see the way things are still going. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. It's still pretty much the same. All right, until next time, I'm Jerry Tabatt. Y'all have a great day, and this is our final edition for this week of our military community.